Hello and welcome out there. I'm so excited about today's guest, Adrea Brier. She's back by popular demand. She's been a regular on our show, and we've got a really hot topic for you today. It's all about super boosting your immune system against cold, flu, and believe it or not, even cancer. You probably all remember that Adrea has an amazingly inspiring story of conquering cancer herself. She's a survivor, and she was able to do that through some of her own approaches of integrative medicine. And she brings a lot of that approach to all of you and really helps you figure out within your body what is cancer being the symptom. What is the cause? What is the chaos in your body that you can resolve? And Adria does an amazing job being a consultant. She's spoken all over the world at various conferences. She consults with clients, and she's really just a dynamic individual and a big success story herself. And I'm excited to bring an episode that's really for everyone, right? None of us get through cold and flu season unscathed. And Adria is going to bring this hot topic to us today to see how we can boost our immune system. So back by popular demand, everybody, here's Adria. Welcome.
Blushing, definitely blushing.
Welcome back, right? So we're
Thank
so
you.
glad to have you on. You're such a wonderful guest, and you bring so much to our audience. So thank you for rejoining me.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So now, Adria, just in case anybody out there hasn't listened in before, remind us your story. You have an interesting background, and you've been through a lot to get you to where you are today. And maybe you can share a little bit about your background with everyone.
We each have our strengths and we each have our intuition when we hear it. Back in the 1970s, when I think a lot of your listeners were born along with me, as opposed to their children, and maybe not even you, maybe in certain cases, I was getting acupuncture. I went to basements for yoga, and I would travel over an hour to get organic food. And I lovingly say that my brother thought I was a fruitcake
You
because
were you were a unicorn of the times, right?
I
For
was
sure.
most assuredly. And one day I walked into a co-op and I looked around and I thought, well, there are other people who think like me. Thank goodness.
It
Right?
exists, right?
It
Very
it
validating.
right, exactly. And I ultimately took my intuition and my skills and my learning into medical environments when my mother was hospitalized many times and then my dad in the VA system. And I wound up acting as an advocate um, and an intermediary for both my mother and my father and other veterans as well. And at basics, I mean basics. Here's an example of my mother was in a rehab, and I got there from California because I used to live on the airplanes and live in the hospital beds next to her. And I said, "How are you?" She said, "I have a headache." I said, "Why do you have a headache?" She said, "Because they gave me a pill." I said, "What they give you a pill for?" "Because I was constipated." "Why were you constipated?" "Well," so I went to the nurse and I said, "Can we just, one thing is, so she was nauseous. Let's get rid of the nausea. Let's get rid of the headache. Let's give her some aloe vera and not have the side effects of the pills."
Right.
So fortunately, they gave her aloe vera. She went to the bathroom. She didn't have the nausea. She didn't have the constipation,
Right.
and she didn't have the headache. And our body, okay, so digression, cancer. I knew health. I knew health from my intuition when I was younger. I knew from being inside the medical system. Then in 2006, I had the first episode of cancer, and I didn't know anything about cancer. So I really had to learn, like my learning curve went like this. My oncologist ultimately fired me because I wouldn't do what he wanted me to do, which to me was going to undermine my immune system further. So and cancer, just an FYI, cancer starts with the underlying chaos of the body. There may be a genetic predisposition, 10 to 20%, but most of the time it's environmental. It's what we call epigenetic. And I would have the episodes. So my objective for myself and for patients referred to me and clients, because I never see people in person, I'm always online. I've never been seeing people in person, is to deal with the underlying chaos that hits the body and becomes the symptom of whatever an illness is. In this case, we're talking about cancer. So cancer is a symptom. And you can take a symptom away or you can band-aid a symptom, but the body is still receiving the chaos. And
Right.
ultimately, something's going to manifest again. So my objective is to strengthen the body sufficiently that any additional cancer episode is further and further apart, less and less virulent as we address the chaos and mitigate the circumstances until the body can conquer it on its own and it doesn't become a symptom of any illness.
Right.
Does that make
Well,
sense?
it makes perfect sense to me, and I think what you're referring to is getting to the underlying root causes of what causes disease in general, anything within
Right.
our bodies. And when I think about you, Adria, I mean, you talked here about getting fired by your oncologist, and you talked about your mom saying, "Hey, let's not just give the pills with the side effects and so forth." But I know, because I've known you and connected with you before, that there's a place for Western medicine in all of this, right? But it's about getting to the root causes. So can you talk about the yin and the yang of how those can be complementary to one another and what your expertise is in the space?
I am definitely an integrative coach. When we need conventional medicine, we better have it. Because if your arm is falling off, you know, you need it, right? And sometimes we need an antibiotic. Oftentimes we don't, and the antibiotic has two sides. It'll kill the good stuff and it'll also kill the bad stuff. So then how do we replenish it, which is the integrative function?
Right.
One without the other is not sufficient. But let me digress on that for a second too, because other cultures, Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, other cultures have centuries of wisdom. And we don't normally focus on that in the United States. We need the wisdom and the medical know-how of the other cultures as well. And that's basically what I do. When people are referred to me, it doesn't matter, again, we'll use cancer as the example. If they want to do chemo, that's fine. But let's at least mitigate the side effects and let's again get to the root causes. I had a woman in England who was referred to me, and she said that when she used to do chemo, she'd be exhausted and she'd crash on the couch. And when we started working together, she said, Adria, I can do chemo and I can go horseback riding.
That's amazing,
It's
right?
it's amazing. I mean, because the
Right. So
body
it's not
is
the
incredible.
declining of Western medicine altogether. It's this integrative approach so that you don't have to suffer through the bad side effects, or at least you're trying to do something to mitigate that.
Exactly. You're integrating the best of both worlds.
Yep.
And a lot of times your intuition will tell you something. And I truly believe in following intuition. That doesn't mean not to do the other. It just
Right.
means like, well, I'm going to give an example here. When you have a dam that's holding back the water, right? You got all this water coming at the dam wall and it's not crashing through. But ultimately, you might have little leaks in that dam. And so what you do is you put little plugs in those leaks. Well, eventually, you've got enough plugs in there that the whole dam has been compromised. If you don't deal with what your body shows up with as symptoms, and you keep just putting on band-aids, ultimately your own body, which is the strongest thing you've got, is going to fall. It won't. That's what the immune system is all about. Does that explain the integrative approach a little better?
It makes, it makes complete sense. And honestly, I feel like it's a great approach to everything, right? It's just the balance and making sure you dig underneath and figure those things out. Talk a little bit, Adria, before we jump into today's topic, just about your qualifications and, in terms of, all the disclaimers out there. What is your role versus that of a medical doctor, and how does that all work together?
Okay. Even when I'm presenting at a conference, it's important to remember that our medical doctor is the first person that I'm not giving medical advice. This is not medical advice. This is my experience. If somebody wants medical advice, they have to go to their medical professional. When I speak, I'm from the East Coast, so I'm very direct. And if I say I and we and you, it's not personal, it's the royal one. If
Right.
the information fits in your life or those of your loved ones that you're trying to help, take it. If it doesn't fit, don't take it. And remember that your medical professional is the one who is guiding you. I'm sharing my experience, and in some cases, experience of people who I've coached and consulted with.
Absolutely. And you're even referred by many doctors as well. So, I mean, that's obviously they see the benefit of what you bring to the table to round out the care team.
Exactly. It's all a team. And one of the most important parts of the team is what we think. When we're dealing with health issues, we need to be on board with what we're doing. And I'm going to give an example. If somebody's going to get a chemo drip, they better believe that that's going to help them, because if they're sitting there thinking this is going to kill me, that doesn't work. You
Right.
have to get to the point where what you're choosing, you believe in helping you, because energy follows thought. I mean, this is
Right. That
quantum
mindset is
physics.
right. Exactly. Exactly. So, well, on to today's topic. So I'm super excited. As you know, I was suffering from illnesses myself last week, very timely. Should have had our talk the week before for sure. So super boosting our immune systems about colds, flu, and even cancer. And I just think like every year, well, I mean, gosh, we've been through a lot, right? Colds, flu season, COVID, all the things. Why is everybody so sick, right? What's happening and what's driving this illness epidemic, so to speak?
Stress is huge. You know, we want to think that there's one this or one that. That's not the way it works, right? I will say that stress is huge and everything interacts. So, just as a digression, because of what you do for people, stress goes down. Knowing that you're there and that we have the right insurance when we're at Medicare age and that we have the secondary backup is an enormous stress relief, not just for me, but for all of your clients who are fortunate enough to find
Well,
you.
hopefully they're having less colds because of this.
Well, let that would be good. However, that's just one variable.
Right,
Stress is huge. Stress
right.
is everything, and a lot of that stress, that's actually a whole different presentation about our emotional self-talk and relationships. That's a different conversation. But the point is that stress is huge. And what increases stress? Poor sleep, poor nutrition, lack of detoxification. All of these are stressors on the body, because the body is the smartest health and healing tool we've got. You know, there's no doctor, no surgery, no drug that's smarter than the inherent healing wisdom of our body. So what do? We muck it up. We muck it up by not, scientific word, muck. We muck it up by not sleeping. We muck it up by not having regular exercise. We muck it up by not eating properly. And I don't mean eating 100% properly. I mean eating clean food. Here's two examples. Dr. Bruce Lipton coined the term epigenetics. So what is epigenetics? Epigenetics is above genetics. We were raised to believe that whatever is genetic in our family is a foregone conclusion in our lives, and we're going to have whatever X is. No. He was teaching at a medical school. He took the same cells, put them in different petri dish mediums, and he found that they exhibited differently based on the medium. So what does that mean? It means that our environmental toxins are in what we are doing in our lives can affect our health. So he stopped teaching at that medical school and he went on to develop this. I think he went to Stanford. He's just brilliant and he's inspiring. I mean, can you imagine so many people feel out of control in their lives? That's a stress.
Right.
We're going to go over so many things that people can do that is actually cost-free in their lives to empower their bodies to be healthier.
Well,
And,
well, tell us. I want to know. So, what are the tips and tricks, Adria? What can we do to super boost our immune systems?
all right, here we go. Here's another example, by the way. You've got a fire hose with very strong pressure, right? And you've got a building, and the building has little fires everywhere. So this fire hose is trying to take its pressured water to go to all these little fires. Well, if you can put out the little fires, then when there's a big fire, that fire hose pressure is going to be able to seriously address it. What's the analogy? The analogy is if we have a bunch of little things going on in our body, things that we're adding through our mouth, things we're adding through our environment, things we're adding through our thoughts, things we're adding through lack of detoxification. Those are all the little fires. We want to mitigate and even release those so that when we have something showing up, then our fire hose, our health system, our immune system
Focus
can really
completely.
show up and address it before it becomes a volcano that overtakes our life.
Exactly.
Make
Exactly. That's a
sense?
great analogy. It does. And so essentially what you're saying is, because we're not fueling on and taking care of those little fires, when the big thing comes along, we don't have the strength to fight it, right?
Right.
Because we're so divided. So I definitely see that. So how do we put out the little fires?
Exactly. Well, and the little fires are connected. They are a big fire on their own. All right. So how do we put out the little fires? Let's start with inexpensive. All right. Sleep. What happens with sleep? Our brain detoxifies. We are rampant right now with all kinds of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, all kinds of things related to the brain and nerve function. How do we deal with that? What do we do? Sleep. Sleep so your body can relax. Sleep so your body can detoxify. Sleep so your brain can detoxify. People aren't sleeping, particularly as people get older. They have some real challenges sleeping. One is the environment. If somebody has the option to shut down the circuit breakers in their home when they go to sleep, so they're not surrounded by this, Wi-Fi and their cell phones next to them and all these receiving devices, the system tends to calm down, right? I say that my molecules are not jumping, going absolutely crazy because of all this bombardment around us.
Right.
So every night I shut down my circuit breakers, most of them. My cell phone, a lot of people have their cell phones next to them in bed in case there's a problem. Put it down the hall. You're still going to hear the thing ring.
Right.
Put it down the hall. Set up your phone so that you've got VIPs, your family, your closest friends, whoever you want to get through at any time of day or night. And you can set the settings on your phone. My phone will not ring after 9 at night because I have an international practice, time zones everywhere, and it won't ring before 9 o'clock in the morning. So I tell patients and I tell people, you can call and leave me a message. You can text because you're not going to interrupt my sleep. Sleep is one of the most precious, free support tools that we've got for our immune system, our moods, our brain function. Moods, let's talk about that. Well,
How much
energy.
how much sleep do you think a person really needs?
It varies with the person.
Mhm.
Frankly, my wake up time is generally around 8 o'clock in the morning, around 8 o'clock. Sometimes at 8:30 at night, I'm ready for bed. Sometimes it's 9:30. So how do you get ready for that? That depends on the person. Waking up naturally will generally tell somebody what they need. Now,
So
when
that
we
gives them
were
the hours. Exactly. One of the things that I feel like, sleep is free, but sometimes I'd be willing to pay for it, if you know what I mean, because sleep is tough. That's tough for a lot of women, for people in general. But I feel like a lot of my listeners are women of a certain age. People are going through premenopause, menopause, that sort of thing, and kind of dealing with that, waking up, sweats. A lot of the people of my clients are getting up and going to the bathroom frequently through the night. It's hard to get a good night's rest. And you talked about shutting down with the electronics, which I think is great feedback. What other suggestions do you have? Because I feel like not only are people not getting enough sleep, but it's really interrupted with wake ups and insomnia and all these things. What else can people do to really deal with this?
hydrate during the day, hydrate during the day so that at night you're not taking a giant glass of water to go to sleep. You might have a little bit, but you're hydrating during the day for your detox. Circadian rhythms. What's a circadian rhythm? The circadian rhythm works with nature. The sun is up, we're awake. The sun goes down, we're asleep. Waking up in the morning and not looking at your technical device, your technology, brush your teeth and go look at the sky, right? Get your body in sync with the rhythms of nature and the environment in which you're living. Same
Right.
thing at night. When it starts to get dark, my lights are practically off.
Right.
and you can get different colored light bulbs. I put in a few different red colored light bulbs, which I got at Home Depot. Right? But my lights and my eyes, again, I'll just talk about myself. I won't talk about other people referred to me. Our eyes adjust to the darkness. And as the darkness is lower, our bodies start to get in sync with that circadian rhythm, and we'll start to get tired. That is not looking at your cell phone at 9 o'clock at night. Anything that's an emergency, if you set it up, the people who need to contact you will contact you. It doesn't matter if there's another Facebook comment or another YouTube, right? It's still there.
Wait till tomorrow at 9.
Right. Wait till tomorrow at 9 or maybe 10, so that you woke up at 8, you brushed your teeth, you had some good hydration, maybe electrolytes, some magnesium. You're supporting your body, you're having a nice protein breakfast, taking a walk. If we don't make ourselves the priority, nobody else will.
Right.
And this machine, this body, we don't put sugar in a car, in a gas tank. We have to take care of our body. It's the only body we've got.
Oh.
It's
So
our
I think
temple.
you kind of touched on two things there, Adria. So we talked about sleep being an immune booster, let's say. So that's number one. And I think you're touching on diet, right? So the protein that you put in and the fuel that you put into your body is really important. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Absolutely. Let me finish a little bit on sleep and then make sure I come back to that topic. All right. Melatonin. Melatonin helps people to sleep, a lot of people to sleep. There's another product. In fact, I'm going to get back to you with some links. There's another product that's a GABA product. GABA helps to relax the body and increase the mood. There's a product that I sleep on every night. In fact, I've got the belt around me now because I don't know if I could show it to you. I'll give you that website people can write down. It's called Biomat Experts. It's BIOMAT experts with an S.com. And you'll know you're in the right place because you'll see my face or my number there. What does that basically do? While getting ready for bed, you put this it lowers inflammation. It's got mineral frequencies in it, and the heat helps to relax the body.
Amazing. Sounds nice.
It's incredible. I've slept on it.
I need one of those.
Okay. Go to the website. It's right there. But
I will.
I put it on at night, and this is the one that fits on a massage table.
Mm-hmm.
I put it on at night, and when I'm getting ready for bed, and we're going to talk about oral care because that's really important. When I'm getting ready for bed, it's heating up. When I get to bed, I shut it off because you sleep better generally when your body's a little cool, right? Open a window for fresh air. You want to be warm, but you don't want to be sweating because a lot of times people will wake up with that sweating. Unless you want to give yourself a treatment, that's a whole other conversation. But the Biomat also has I don't think I can show this to you, but it's a belt that fits around the body. Mm-hmm. A lot of women have thyroid issues. And with those thyroid issues, they gain weight, their bodies tend to be colder. There's a difference between internal cold and external cold. Wrap the belt around, and you get to the internal warmth, which is really important because as the body temperature goes down, we are more susceptible to getting sick. Right? So keeping very warm is important. And I live in an area, Northern California, which is beautiful, but sometimes I'm cold. And I'll put a scarf around, and I might even where I live, I might even put a hat on because I don't want all that dry heat from, all around me, but I want my body to be warm. Absolutely. I don't want the body temperature to go down.
Right.
There are other ways of, I want to say that GABA is different from Gabatrol, and I'll give you, might as well just take it. It's GABATROL. Gabatrol helps to raise the moods, lower anxiety. There are ways to just calm the system down. 5-HTP. 5-HTP is another thing that helps us to go to sleep. There's Jin Shinjitsu, which we did on another interview. I walked people at the end of the interview, and if we have time today, I'll walk people again, because I remember you said to me that your staff was amazed that you were falling asleep. You the 24-hour Energizer bunny, while I was walking you through everybody through this, you
Exactly.
were falling
Exactly.
asleep. That helps tremendously to fall asleep. But the
Absolutely.
circadian rhythms, getting away from technology, don't eat too late. If you can eat dinner at 6 o'clock, 6:30, eat dinner at 6 or 6:30. Let your body just absorb and digest all that food, so that when you're sleeping, you're detoxifying. Your body's not having to, you know, swallow everything and digest it then to get the nutrition.
Absolutely.
That makes
Well,
sense?
sweet. So I feel like we've got it. We've got a lot of practical tips for getting going, and we'll definitely share with the audience all these sites and so forth to get even more information. So sleep, number one immune booster. So what's number two?
Let's go to oral care, which is going to surprise you. All right. If anybody has a root canal, Dr. Hal Huggins, said that 100% of root canals are infected. So why is that important? Because the meridians of the body, we're talking Chinese medicine, go through the mouth. Like up here on the right, for example, those teeth can be related to breast cancer when we look at where the meridians go. And let me say something about this. Just suspend disbelief. We've been raised to believe certain things. Just suspend disbelief. Relax and listen to this presentation. You don't necessarily have to take notes. Erin's going to have it posted. Sit back and see what resonates with you. Oral care is important. Flossing at night. You've got food in your mouth all day long. You've got this food creating more bacteria in your mouth if you don't have a clean mouth when you're going to sleep. If you have a water pick, use your water pick. It's even better. Use your toothbrush. And in fact, I'm just going to make a comment there. If you think you've got a cold or you're sick and you're using the same toothbrush, soak it in hydrogen peroxide for 20 minutes before or after use, so that you're deterring viral and bacterial replication and deterring reinfection through your toothbrush. Now, that doesn't cost anything. Hydrogen peroxide costs almost nothing. You can take the head off the electric toothbrush, put this hydrogen peroxide in a little glass thing, put the top of the toothbrush brush right in there, change it every day. Not the toothbrush, the hydrogen peroxide.
Exactly.
There's so many things we can do that don't cost any money, that when
Right.
there are things we need to do, like what I was telling you I sleep on, and I gave you the website, we have to spend money on certain things, but there's a lot like the circadian rhythms we don't have to spend money on. All we have to do is look at the sky and be out in nature.
Right.
So going back to oral care, want to be very, very careful. A lot of people get implants, a lot of people get fillings. I would suggest making sure that the dentist you're seeing is a biological dentist, so that the materials that are in your mouth are biologically compatible, because your mouth goes everywhere. If you've got issues in your mouth, your meridians are going down to the heart. I mean, it's pervasive, it's systemic, everything. So take care of your mouth. At least brush in the morning, brush at night, use your dental floss, do it properly. Next time you see the person who does your dental hygiene, ask them to show you the proper way. It's not just putting the floss in and pushing it out. You're on each side. You're scraping a little bit up at the top with your dental floss to get off what the tartar builder up would be.
Exactly.
Oral care is really important for health, and it's one of the most forgotten pieces,
And we
especially.
do enough to build into better habits, right? So, I mean, sleep, oral hygiene. So, two really great tips of the trade. What's number three, Adria? Keep us rolling.
All right, keep us rolling. One more thing. When you've had a meal, go put water in your mouth and vigorously rinse 2 or 3 times. Just rinse. Don't brush necessarily, but rinse, because you've done your brushing. Or if you're going to brush, wait at least half an hour is my understanding, because you don't want whatever those digestive juices are to work against your enamel. Now,
Right.
I'm not a dentist. This is not medical advice. This is
Right.
information I've been taught that I'm sharing.
Right.
Let's talk about exercise. We'll get to food and supplements. We're a society of overdoers, right? Overdo, 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 and then what happens? Your adrenals get stressed. Your adrenals address your hormones. Adrenals affect thyroid. Adrenals affect everything. Adrenals, cortisol. We're sending these chemicals through the body, which puts the body on alert. We don't need to always be on alert. When we need to be on alert, we need it, but most of the time we don't. So general walking, for example, just a nice brisk walk. We're not talking about sashaying down the street, although, that's fine.
If you
But
want to sachet, you can.
right, exactly. That's your fun time of exploration. But actually aerobic walking, and you don't have to be running, you don't have to be slamming your knees, breathing through your nose, let it out through your mouth or breathe out through your nose, but give yourself a pace. And if what it requires is for you to have a headset in listening to a book on tape or listening to a health podcast, there are so many of them that you can learn
Or
from.
listening to Aaron and Adrea on This Is 65. I mean, come on.
Right? There you go. Depending on the topic, you'll find us multiple times. But
Exactly.
these are all, it costs nothing, right? People think
Right.
it costs a lot of money to be healthy. It really does not. So right there, we're talking about it, and muscle. All right, let's talk about your population. There's a word, sarcopenia. What does sarcopenia mean? It means muscle loss over time, particularly as people get older. So why is that important? Here's some basics. You want to get off the toilet without help? You want to get off the couch without help? You want to live independently? You better keep your muscles. Do you have to, hold 20-pound weights? You do not. There are ways to do this. You can do it with gentle yoga. You can do it with stretch bands. Now, all of this affects our immune system. This is not, just pie in the sky, build up some muscles. Stretch bands come in different weights and they're not expensive. You can get packages of them. Google online and see which brands you want. And then the YouTubes can be free. You're just doing resistance training to maintain your independence and prevent loss of that independence.
Right.
That
Super
muscle
important.
mass is really, really important.
Especially, I'm sure for everyone, but especially for women, they lose their lean muscle mass significantly after 50. So,
Right.
progressively so, I think, from your 20s, but even more so after 50. So anything we can do. It's interesting just to touch on what you're saying there. I think a lot of people think building muscle mass is some sort of weightlifting or weight training, but you can use your own body weight in stretch bands and so forth to get the same or similar results. So can you touch a little bit more on that?
You can do isometrics too. Talking about using your own body. You're brushing your teeth, tighten your abs, let them go. Tighten your abs, let them go. Make new habits. Tighten your abs, let them go. You can, stretching your body, just turning even in a chair, doing some yoga, light weights. You can get light weights as long as your body is reactive to it. If you want to use your own body mass, you can do that too. You can get on the floor and do, again, this depends on you. It's not medical advice. Do what's safe for you. But you can get on the floor and do sit-ups. Well, even the lightest sit-up, take your hands, put it behind your head, hold your neck so that your head is resting in your hands, and you're just going, even if your knees are bent, you're just going up a little bit, and you can feel in your abs that something is working. Simple. It doesn't have to be hard. And what's happening there is when you're strengthening what's called the core, you have better balance.
Absolutely.
That balance is really important because somebody breaks a hip and all of a sudden you're hearing some serious other issues followed that hip break. So keep your core comfortable, keep your core solid, and just develop some new habits.
Absolutely. So we've heard sleep, we've heard exercise, right? We've heard, what am I missing? What did we go over?
Oral care.
Oh, for sure, the oral care. Get that flossing down. So what's number 4, Adrea?
Detoxification.
Talk to us
How do
about this.
we detoxify? Back up for a second. Why do we need to detoxify? Here's an example of what somebody might say. I eat pretty healthily. I don't stand in front of a car breathing the car exhaust. Forget it, right? The paint in our environments, the carpets in our environments, the dishwasher soap we use, the soap we use on our laundry, there is a residue. There is going to be a residue. And that residue, if it goes into our clothes, which is what we're watching, or our sheets, that residue touches our skin. And our skin, if not the largest organ in the body, is one of the largest organs in the body. So what touches us goes into us. If it's on our body, it's in our body. If it's in our mouth, obviously we know that it's in our body. But our environmental toxins open the windows and get fresh air. The environmental toxins inside are usually a heck of a lot worse than the nice fresh air from outside. So get the fresh air. And if that means that you have to put a scarf on or a hat on or an extra layer of a jacket so that you can get some kind of airflow, do it. This doesn't cost anything.
Right. I mean, nothing has been out of sight so far. I mean, sleep, lots of tactics without spending money, a few that you could spend money on if you wanted to, right? Oral care, a lot of that is just self-care, easy enough to do, just building the habits. Exercise, simple as walking and strength training and stretch bands and so forth, even using your own body weight and some free YouTubes, right? Come on, let's do it, people. And then detoxification. So that's the big four. Anything else that you would touch on that helps us really boost our immune system?
Let's go to detoxification again. The liver is the processing organ of the body, right? Mm-hmm. The liver also processes our hormones. The estrogens that many women have to deal with, thyroid that many women have to deal with. So milk thistle, again, not medical advice, milk thistle is a really good herb that helps to detoxify the liver. And that, you'll see people sometimes with the whites of their eyes are yellow. If they start using milk thistle, they might see a change. But milk thistle to support the organs of our own body, that's significant. Constipation. So many people are undiagnosed with thyroid disorders. And let me just make a comment there. Our doctors have the highest intentions, but they can't know everything. They barely get any education on nutrition. How do they determine if somebody is in a range? Well, a range, let's say somebody has a thyroid hormone and the range goes from 5 to 10 and somebody's 5.1. A lot of doctors are going to tell them they're fine. Keep your own medical records. Put them in a file. See if things are changing on the various tests that you've got. And if you have symptoms that are related, say, to thyroid, and your thyroid numbers are still in line, then talk to your doctor about the other symptoms. They have a limited amount of time to talk to you, and you are the best guide in letting them know what's going on with you so they can help you the best way.
Absolutely.
Really, really important. Their iodine. Not medical advice. When you're asking for tests, you might want to also ask for a test on iodine. It might be a 24-hour urine iodine test because a lot of people are low in iodine. And iodine is part of our immune system.
Yeah. Iodine's for immunity.
Yeah, iodine is one of the, not for everybody. I'm just saying that there are things to test, and that would be one of them. Constipation. I gave an example earlier where I had them give my mother aloe vera. And I take a little bit of aloe vera every night. I also take an Ayurvedic herb called Triphala. I take rhodiola. There's just, you can put on a podcast about Ayurveda. You can put on a podcast about Chinese medicine. Acupuncture helps with everything. Acupuncture helps the immune system. It helps with detoxification also. But what we put in our bodies, it becomes what our bodies are.
Right.
So when somebody
you
says
are
to me,
what you eat, they say.
exactly, you are exactly what you eat, and your energetic, your personal energetic is who you associate with. But that goes into another presentation of, our emotional body and our relationship
Into
communications.
our next show, Adria. That's always where we're going.
We'll
So
go, we'll deal with that too. So when people say I can't afford organic, my response to them is you can't afford not to have organic. A lot of
100%.
our, right? A lot of our foods here have glyphosate, which is banned in many countries in Europe. It's a poison. So, even rinsing it off, here's an example, which sort of boggles my mind actually. I've had people say to me, well, I take the skin off the banana. And my response to them is the banana starts out like this. It grows like that. Where does it grow from? It grows from getting the nutrition, say, from the soil and the hydration. If there are chemicals down there and it's growing and it's coming up into the banana, does it matter that you've taken the skin off?
Right.
It's
It
in the
doesn't.
banana.
Right.
So it is essential that we drink good, clean water. There are systems out there that are not expensive, and I'm not saying reverse osmosis because that takes a lot of the minerals out, but good, clean water, good, clean hydration, not in plastic bottles. That helps us to get detoxified. That helps with constipation because the more liquid we have, the more it can go through our bowels. It can help to clean through our intestines, and people will eliminate. It's so detox. This is our temple, folks. We take care of the temple with the food that we eat. Fiber. Fiber is really important. Again, there's Ayurvedic products that have fiber to make sure that we're going to the bathroom. Vegetables, fruits. Start the day with a nice glass of water, a glass of good clean water, and then maybe have some vegetable juice. You can make it, or you can buy it. Just make sure it's not in a plastic bottle. Have some really good juice, but making your own juice is less expensive. Ultimately, once you own the juicer, and you don't have to buy a brand new juicer, you can buy, a used one.
You don't have
Just
to worry about what's in it or any additives because you did it yourself and you know.
right, and you've gotten the right vegetables. The thing to remember about a juicer is you want it to be really easy to clean. Breville, Breville, makes a really good juicer that's very easy to clean. They have a few different prices. You might be able to get a used one on eBay. And then you refrigerate it. You can make your juice for 3 or 4 days or 5 days in a row as long as you've got it in a glass airtight bottle. And have a glass of juice every day. Throw in some of the milk thistle. Detoxify.
Absolutely. Well, what else, Adria? So you've hit the big four so far. Is there any other big categories that we need to focus on?
Yes, antivirals, because I promised that we would talk about colds and flus. So, and this is where we have to make our choices, right? A lot of times a doctor won't know if we're not feeling well, whether it's bacterial or viral, right? Antibiotics don't address viruses. Again, this isn't medical advice. Antibiotics don't address viruses. So what do we do for viruses? What do we do to keep our immune systems strong? Liposomal vitamin C, vitamin D with K2. The K helps it to be absorbed better. I personally take 5,000 IUs. It's not milligrams of vitamin D, it's IUs. I take 5,000 a day. The the RDA or whatever it is says, okay, you can have 30 to 50 measuring on D. Your doctor can measure that. I don't agree with that personally, but that's me. I'd rather be at 70, 80, or 90 on my vitamin D measurement because that's a very strong immune booster. If I get exposed to something or somebody is sick, I'm going to up my vitamin D significantly for a week or two because that's a major, and it's cheap. I remember
Right.
being in a gynecologist's office decades ago, and I'm checking out, and she said to me, this receptionist said, "Would you like a prescription for vitamin D?" And I looked at her. It took me a minute to register what she was asking. Vitamin D is you get it across the counter.
Right.
Vitamin D with K2. The important thing about any supplement is to make sure it's good quality. Because if it's not good quality, you're providing yourself with very expensive urine. It's not getting absorbed properly, and it has to go through the liver anyway.
Right.
So if it costs a little bit more and you're still getting all those tablets, it costs a little more. Make your compromises someplace else.
Right. Well, please, when you send the link, send us some of your favorites so we can refer those out to everybody.
I will take the time to put it together with a link, and then people can see what my preferences are. Antivirals, olive leaf extract. There's like no toxicity on olive leaf extract. It's antiviral, antibacterial. There's a silver, let me see if I can give you that right here. There's a silver product that I use, Hippocrates used silver. Oh, wait 1 second. I might have to send you that link.
Please just send it over.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, here we go. I'll say it, but I'll send you the link. It's Silver Ceuticals, SILVER Ceuticals, CEUTICALS.com/my name, Adrea Brier. And that'll give somebody 25% off. But I'll send you,
No.
yeah, I'll send you the link on that. Why silver? There are silvers that build up in the body. This doesn't. This leaves the body in 24 hours, which is why we keep replenishing it. And what's so good about this silver? It's antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral, and anti-mold. Excuse me, I'm talking a lot. And silver is so potent. When the COVID fears started coming out, I told people, get yourself a home nebulizer. It's little. It was like $55. I put silver in it. If I start to feel something really happening in my upper chest, which is very rare, because I'm very proactive about taking the liquid and my antivirals, etc., within a day of maybe 3 treatments, I don't feel any heaviness in my chest anymore. Why is it important to have the mask? Because the silver kills the viruses in the nose that go down the throat, that go into the lungs.
Amazing. You know what I love about this antiviral discussion is all the other things, of course, you want to continually have these habits and they're preparing you, but the antivirals, you can step it up. If you're exposed to something or experiencing it, you can double down on the dosage or whatever to combat the illness as well, which is really nice.
Yeah.
A lot of times you feel like, oh, I'm stuck. It's too late. What am I going to do? But this is a way around that, isn't it?
It is a way around it. You might get exposed. You might get something less. It doesn't mean it's going to totally obviate anything you've been exposed to. But with the proper immune support, it's going to be less and a lot more rare in general. I want to address Petri dishes. What's a Petri dish? We go into crowds, right? Movie theaters, auditoriums. We dance a lot. We go into a small area where there's dancing. And the last time we were dancing, we were in Sausalito, and it was totally closed in. And I went to the sliding glass doors, and I opened the sliding glass doors. I went to the front door. I opened the front door, and this man said to me, "It's cold." I said, "Do you know what a Petri dish is?" He said, "Yes, I'm a geoengineer." I said, "Well, we are in a Petri dish right now, and it's cold and flu season, and we must have airflow." And he got it. I mean, first he was annoyed with me, but then he got it, right? When we are in groups, we don't know who's got a cold. We don't know who's got a flu. We don't know how many people they've been exposed to, and they bring that with them.
Right.
So I think when cold and flu season, I'll make it a generic but again, everything we've talked about here is personal choice and contacting your own medical professional. I won't go into those Petri dishes. I won't go into a small enclosed space. I'll go to a movie. It's a big space, but I already take care of my immune system. I already build it up. So I'm almost never sick. I think I've gotten a light flu twice in the past 5 years.
So even if you get exposed and you get it, you've got the tools lined up to make it a much less significant event, right? And that's really a big deal.
Exactly.
I guess if somebody says, "Why are you opening the doors?" and I'm cold, you say, "Well, this is a dance. Get dancing."
There's an
That'll
idea.
get them warmed up, right? So,
right. Yeah, exactly.
So, Adria, do you feel like you've touched on what the boosters are? Is there anything else you would like to add?
Oh, yeah. You just have to tell me how soon we have to stop. In Ayurveda in India, they have what's known as a neti pot. A neti pot, remember what I was saying about the nose? We breathe in, even allergies, folks. You get allergic reactions. At the end of the day, clean out your nose. You know, if you've been out in a group, clean out your nose. So a neti pot can be a little bit challenging because it is a little pot. You have to tilt your head so it doesn't go down your throat. However, in your pharmacy, or if you have an ENT doctor, this is called Neilmed, Neil Med. It's a nasal rinse. You can buy it with the salt. It comes with little salt packets. And when those salt packets are gone, you can just use kosher salt, a little bit of kosher salt. You put in warm water, put in your kosher salt, shake it up like crazy, hold the thing. This is going to be really charming. Hold the thing here or here, press it from the bottom. It'll push the water through and come through the other side.
It's amazing.
So what are you doing? You're cleansing with salt. Remember, we grew up with gargling with warm salt water to kill germs. You've got the salt in here and it's going. The silver that I like to use also, they have a nasal spray. I love that nasal spray. They also have a gel. I don't travel without the silver. I don't travel without the gel. I'll go into a gas station or a supermarket or a party, and I have the gel. I'll take half the size of a pea, antibacterial, antiviral. I mean, we don't know
Adria,
what we're
I
touching.
think it made me laugh when you were just saying, the old gargling with warm salt water. I could sprain my ankle when I was a kid, and my mom would tell me to go gargle. I mean, so those were good feedback and helped a lot of illnesses and kept us healthy. So this is awesome.
I like that. I like that. Actually, she empowered you.
Yes, she
feel
did.
Like you were doing something.
Exactly. So we've gone over so much today, Adria, and we probably we could never get to the level of knowledge that you can bring to us, and that's why we have to have you keep coming back, which we appreciate. But I wanted you to share with the audience. I think a lot of people may have questions about what we went over today, or may want to schedule a consultation. What do you think are the best ways to go about getting in touch with you?
There's my phone number, California, 415-308-4818. If you send me an email, and if you're not in my system, it might go to spam. So you're welcome to text me and say I sent you an email, adria@thrivinghealthandwellness.com. And please note, there's no N in my name. Your technologies will self-correct and throw an N in, even if you don't put one in. Right?
She's not Andrea. She's Adria right here. So make sure you got that.
Exactly. You're welcome to call me. We can set up a consultation. My consultations are international. They're on Zoom. And one consultation can frankly change a life. You can take that information to everybody. If we're dealing with cancer and something else, a lot of times we're going to need more because we're reworking decades of buildup to get to the underlying causes, which is what it's all about. But if somebody basically wants to, hey, I want to strengthen my immune system, have a consultation about going over some of the nutrition, let's just do some of that. One consultation might do it. It depends how many questions you have. Absolutely. And I will say something else. A lot of times our greatest stressors are relationships and our self-talk. So when we go to sleep at night, it's really, we want good feelings, right? We want to think of the positive. We want to call in our angels and say, thank you for being with me and the people I love. That lowers stress. Be grateful. Pick 5 things you're grateful for. It doesn't have to be an encyclopedia. Be grateful you have a bed to sleep in. Be grateful somebody gave you a hug today or you gave somebody a hug. If you have an animal, all they do is love us. Be grateful you had good food on the table. You don't have to stress on it. Just pick 5 little gratitudes. And when you go to sleep thinking, I am healthy, I am strong. The people I love are safe.
100%. Well, that's some really great parting words, Adria. I feel like you're sending people off with the right message, right? Caring for themselves, taking all these immune boosters that you taught us about today. I feel like I wish I had been doing and more focused on some of these things beforehand, and definitely some of the vitamins I could have taken once I gotten sick to get me along. So I'm going to make it required listening for all of my staff so that they can stay healthy through the season. And just can't tell you how much I appreciate you and all that you bring to the table. Thank you for being such a gracious guest. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. You're absolutely wonderful. So thank you again.
You are so welcome. And if anybody wants to know about the technology that I sleep on or the silver that I use, just give me a quick call and I'll give you the websites. The silver in particular is important because that one doesn't build up in the body, and I want people to get that discount, which I worked hard to get.
Fantastic. So everybody, don't forget Adria's number here, 415-308-4818. I'll show it one more time. 415-308-4818. She's wonderful. She's gracious. She'll take time with you, and she really treats you as an individual, as a whole person. And she's just a wonderful person to know. Adria, thanks so much for being my guest again today.
I'm so grateful for you and all the people you help, Erin. You touch one person and you touch a whole family. You lower the stress, make them happier. Thank you.
Thank you so much.